Just bring them in. I have to find out from protocol. No, they're not. Scoop. Ladies and gentlemen, when we rise to receive the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Namibia and the guest of honor. Let's remain standing for the national and AU anthems. Thank you. We may be seated. Honorable John Mutora, the Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Namibia, Mr. Kamal Kishore, the Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction, Mr. Anderson Banda, the Director for Humanitarian and Emergency Operations Center of SADC and representing SADC, His Excellency Ambassador Harold Safa, the Chair of the PRC Subcommittee on Environmental Issues, His Excellency Ambassador Joseph Sako, Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment, African Union Commission, distinguished heads of delegations, honorable ministers and deputy ministers here present, other high-level delegates, all participants, welcome to the 8th high-level ministerial meeting on disaster risk reduction being held today, 24 October 2024, here in the land of the brave, the Republic of Namibia, under the theme, Act Now for the Resilient Africa We Want. Honorable ministers, distinguished participants, we have been meeting in Windhoek over the couple of days, 3 days to be specific, to examine issues related to disaster risk reduction. Quite a number of valuable lessons have been shared, and also commitment have been made as to how we can do better. We are therefore delighted this morning to again converge at the high-level segment, joined by our principals, the respective ministers responsible for disaster risk reduction, so that we can join ourselves to speak with one voice as Africa and to tell the world that we are committed to reduce issues related to disaster risk. With that, I wish to welcome you to this high-level meeting. We have an agenda before us, starting with the opening ceremony. Therefore, before I go further, I wish to invite Mr. Kamar Kishore to please come forth and deliver the welcoming remarks. Mr. Kamar.
Your Excellency, Mr. John Mutora, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Republic of Namibia, Your Excellency Ambassador Harold Bundu Safa, Chair of the PRC Subcommittee on Environmental Issues in the African Union Commission, Mr. Anderson Banda, Director of the Southern African Development Community's Humanitarian and Emergency Coordination Center, His Excellency Mr. Duncan Ochanga from the National Disaster Management Unit of Kenya, Excellencies, esteemed delegates. Thank you for joining us for this ministerial segment where we will discuss the adoption of this conference's outcome document, the Windhoek Declaration. I would like to start by acknowledging the Government of Namibia as chair of the Bureau. I would also like to thank the African Union and Southern African Development Community for their support as co-organizers. Over the last few days, we've discussed many of the challenges facing disaster risk reduction in Africa, such as risks that accompany rapid and unplanned urbanization, unsustainable land use practices, impacts on poverty, environmental degradation, and conflict. All these factors increase vulnerability and the risk of disasters in the continent. In the African continent, disasters are already diverting resources from where they're needed to accelerate development, and they're leaving families displaced and in some cases even in mourning. But we also discussed what is working and working really well in Africa and what needs to be scaled up, such as we will see later today, the launch of the Arise Africa network to mobilize the private sector for resilience. I've also seen the immense passion and commitment to disaster risk reduction that exists in Africa, from the regional down to the national and local levels. Many inspiring examples of what cities in different countries of Africa are doing for themselves. We have also seen passion from governments and non-government actors alike, including civil society, youth, academia, the private sector, and the media. Everyone now recognizes that disaster risk reduction is not a side story, it's essential, it's a central development issue for Africa. That is why I want us to capture this commitment through the joint declaration that can guide us forward. The proposed Windhoek Declaration will aim to provide clear guidance on where we should focus our efforts over the next several years. This would include strengthening disaster risk governance, enhancing financing for prevention, integrating resilience into infrastructure systems, the existing infrastructure systems as well as the new ones that are being built, and expanding early warning and early action. I hope that this declaration will contribute to the achievement of the Sendai Framework, but also to the achievement of Sendai Sustainable Development Goals and Agenda 2063 that Africa has carved out for itself. I hope all the excellencies, ministers, and delegations taking part in this segment will not only adopt the declaration, but will pledge to propagate its calls to action, both within your respective organizations and sectors, but even more importantly, beyond them, to bring in new actors and partners. We need everyone engaged in disaster risk reduction, and your leadership is essential to making this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kamar Kishore. As the organizers, I think it was necessary that you set the tone for the high-level meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, the 8th high-level meeting was held in Kenya, and they are currently holding the chair of the Bureau. It is now my distinct honor to invite Dr. Duncan Ochiengo to please come and deliver the welcoming remarks. And while he's coming, we have quite a number of activities running parallel to this meeting, and the delegates who are going for some activities outside, please, the buses are waiting outside. Thank you very much, Dr. Duncan.
Honorable John Mutorwa, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works and Transport, Republic of Namibia, Mr. Kamal Kishore, Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General for DRR, Mr. Anderson, Director, SADC, Humanitarian and Emergency Operation, His Excellency Ambassador Safa, His Excellency Ambassador Sako, heads of delegations, all protocols observed, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First and foremost is to extend my sincere thanks to the government and the people of the Republic of Namibia, the United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction and the African Union Commission for organizing the 9th African Regional Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction and the 8th High-Level Ministerial Meeting on Disaster Risk Reduction. Kenya, as the outgoing chair of the Bureau of the 8th Africa Regional Platform for DRR and the 7th High-Level Ministerial Meeting on DRR, we would like to appreciate the outgoing Bureau, which comprises of the Republic of Kenya, the Republic of Gabon, the Republic of Gambia, and the Republic of South Africa, and the Republic of Tunisia, for the support in translating the Nairobi Declaration into actions across the member states. It is my sincere hope that the incoming Bureau, under the chairmanship of the Republic of Namibia, will leverage on the achievements of the Nairobi Declaration in implementation of the Windhoek Declaration and propagating its cause. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Duncan Ochiengo, and we really look forward to working with you as Namibia as we move the work of this Bureau forward. Next, I wish to invite Mr. Anderson Banda, representing the Southern Africa Development Community and as co-organizers of this platform, to come and deliver the statement. Mr. Banda.
Thank you very much, Executive Director in the Office of the Prime Minister in the Republic of Namibia. Your Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister of Namibia, the Republic of Namibia, allow me, Your Excellency, to ride on the protocols which have been established already by the previous speakers, and may I simply say, Your Excellencies, honorable members of Parliament, and honorable ministers here present. Allow me, on behalf of the SADC Executive Management, the SADC Executive Management led by His Excellency Mr. Elias Mahosi, to welcome you to the SADC region for this very important Parliamentary Forum on Disaster Risk Reduction. As we have done before, allow me to most sincerely thank the people and the government of the Republic of Namibia for hosting this forum and the previous few days engagements which we have had, which have been excellently organized. To the African Union and also to the UNDRR, we say thank you very much for organizing this important forum, which culminates in this session which we are having today. Your Excellencies, honorable ministers, members of parliament, Africa has had its fair share of multifaceted challenges which are posed by hazards attributed to climate change, attributed to environmental degradation and disease outbreaks and other anthropogenic activities which have increased disaster risk in complex social and economic and also political environments. Your Excellencies, it is for this reason that there is need for a holistic and effective disaster risk management which actually encompasses all at all levels. This has to be done within the context of all of us who are gathered here. It is important as we address ourselves today and as we discuss as parliamentarians across Africa to appreciate that we play a pivotal role. And this pivotal role is directly and indirectly in the implementation of the Sendai Framework, which is a global framework for disaster risk management, and also the plan of action at national level and in the constituencies which our honorable members of parliament and also honorable ministers work on. Honorable members of parliament, your excellencies, disaster risk management requires robust and contemporary policy and legal frameworks, and parliamentary actions are essential for passing laws, ensuring appropriation of adequate financial, human, and other resources to implement legislation and providing oversight on the implementation of disaster-related activities. As members of parliament, as ministers gathered here, you are a very essential component for ensuring that disaster risk reduction strategies are effectively integrated into national development plans and sectoral policy and regulation. It is for this reason that as DRM practitioners who have been meeting for the past few days here in Namibia, we urge you, our parliamentarians, to continue championing effective and efficient disaster risk management policy formulation and legislation in our countries and through various continental and regional bodies by actively introducing and also supporting bills that promote the mainstreaming of disaster risk reduction and also ensure adequate budgetary allocations for the initiative in a multi-sectoral and holistic approach. Honorable members of parliament, your excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the core of the declaration which will be adopted today is to encourage our parliamentarians to familiarize themselves and endeavor to adopt the UNDRR toolkit for parliamentarians, as this tool is an essential resource for strengthening comprehensive capacity to drive effective disaster risk reduction on our continent, in the regions, and also in our countries. The Sendai Framework explicitly calls for our parliamentarians to legislate and also amend existing laws which ensure that we have efficient and effective disaster risk management laws and policies in our country, which benefit the communities and reduce vulnerabilities, also increasing capabilities and ensuring that our communities and ourselves, we understand the hazards which affect our communities. Your Excellencies, you may recall the political declaration of the high-level meeting on the mid-term review of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, which recognized the need for a broader and more people-oriented preventive approach, disaster risk reduction, reflecting the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and that disaster risk reduction policies and laws need to be multi-hazard and multi-sectoral, inclusive and accessible to everyone, so that we do not leave anyone behind. This declaration, the high-level political declaration for the midterm review of the Sendai Framework, as you may recall, also encouraged that governments ensure that disaster risk governance is supported by legal and regulatory frameworks, policies, and plans at all levels that reflect responsibility to reduce disaster risk, including through risk-informed decision-making, investments, as well as regulations for land use and urban planning. Honorable members of Parliament, Your Excellencies, it is for this reason again that we, the DRR practitioners and stakeholders, recognize that you, our parliamentarians, are much more closer to the communities. And it is for this reason that we call upon you to be advocates as you interact in your constituencies with these communities. The core is that you continue being advocates of disaster risk management in your constituencies. Disasters happen at community level, and the reliance is on you, our leaders who interact with the people almost on a daily basis. The stakeholders gathered here are also calling for a better governance, greater investments, resilience, integration of DRR in the work which we do as parliamentarians, as we make laws, as we appropriate resources, and also as we interact with the communities. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable ministers, Your Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister, at global level, continental levels, regional levels, and national levels, we call for the support of our parliamentarians to ensure that disaster risk management is integrated into our developmental plan, and to ensure that we build capacity and resilience at community level and reduce the vulnerabilities. Deputy Prime Minister, allow me at this stage to divert a bit and to say that today, the 24th of October, is a special day for one of the SADC countries, Zambia, which has turned 60 years old, Independence Day of Zambia, and we wish Zambia happy birthday for Zambia. Allow me to say thank you, obrigado, merci beaucoup, asante sana. Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, Zambia. Happy birthday to you. Thank you, Mr. Banda, for the welcoming remark. I now have the honor to invite His Excellency Ambassador Harold Safa. He's the chairperson of the Permanent Representative Committee on Environmental Issues for a brief remarks. Ambassador.
Good morning. Your Excellency, General Motolwa, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works and Transport of the Republic of Namibia, Honorable Ministers in charge of disaster risk management, Your Worship, the Mayor of Windhoek, Excellency Kamal Kishore, Special Representative of the United Nations for Disaster Risk Reduction, Excellencies, Ambassadors, and High Commissioners present here, distinguished representatives from the African Union member states and regional economic communities, representatives of development partners, members of the media, all protocols observed. Let me re-echo the congratulatory message to our sister Republic of Zambia on this very important day. Now let me commence by acknowledging with gratitude the legendary hospitality accorded to all delegations by the Republic of Namibia in this magnificent city of Windhoek. In the same vein, I have the honor to thank the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister and all honorable ministers, heads of delegation, for honoring our invitation to attend this very important meeting. Disasters have no respect for anyone, and they happen everywhere, striking the most powerful and the weakest nations. And what makes the difference is our ability to respond to them. But experience has taught us that prevention is always better than cure. It is for this reason that African governments decided to establish the African Union Multi-Hazard Early Warning System and Early Action System to provide alerts for looming hazards. This program, in our wisdom, is supposed to be rolled out to regional economic communities and member states in order to protect every African. Our resilience, it is our flagship program, and we request partners to support it fully in order to contribute to disaster prevention on our continent. On resilience building, the urban resilience programs stand out, and again, we would like to work with our partners on this program too, in order to make a difference. On this note, I would like to listen to a video that contains the message of Her Excellency Ambassador Josefa Sako, Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy and Sustainable Environment for the African Union. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish you all a fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Safa, for the remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, we will now hear the message from Her Excellency Josefa Sako, the Commissioner for Agriculture, Rural Development, Blue Economy, and Sustainable Development. It's a pre-recorded message, and I wish to invite the technical team to please submit.
Your Excellency, Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Namibia, Your Worship, Honorable Mayor of the City of Windhoek, representative from the African Union Member States, Mr. Kamal, Special Representative of United Nations Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction and Head of the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, dear Disaster Risk Reduction Focal Point of the African Union Commission, dear partners, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol duly observed. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this 9th African Regional Platform on Disaster Risk Reduction hosted by the Republic of Namibia. On behalf of the African Union Commission, I extend our heartfelt thanks to the government and the people of the Republic of Namibia, the Southern Africa Development Community, SADC, the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, and all our partners for their tireless efforts in making this platform possible. The African Regional Platform aims to review progress, gaps, and challenges, and identify priority actions on the implementation of the programs of action for implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015-2030 in Africa. These events provide a crucial opportunity for stakeholders from across the continent to gather and collaborate. This year, The platform brings together member states, regional economic community, youth, women, civil society group, and academia for discussions, exhibition, and side events focused on building resilience. The African Union Commission, in collaboration with member states and partners, continue to accelerate its efforts to strengthen disaster risk reduction across the continent through a series of transformative initiatives and programs. Among these, the strengthening disaster risk governance for resilience in African regions and countries projects aim to enhance national and regional capacity to manage and reduce risk. The African Multi-Hazard Early Warning and Early Action System (MEWAS) program is leading the way in improving our preparedness for hazard. This program, especially through the establishment of situation room and the provision of timely advisory, enable African countries to monitor and respond quickly to hazards, safeguarding lives, livelihoods, and infrastructure. In the Sahel region, the African Union's effort in partnership with the UNDP to strengthen disaster risk reduction and adaptation for resilience are crucial in addressing the unique challenge faced by this region, particularly in adapting to climate-related risks and shocks. As we approach the global platform for disaster risk reduction in 2025, we invite all participants to actively contribute to shaping Africa's common position for the global platform for disaster risk reduction. The next 5 years are pivotal for accelerating the implementation of the programs of action and the Sendai Framework. The ongoing work of the African Union Commission and its partners is key to ensuring a resilient and a prepared Africa. Increased investment in disaster risk reduction is key in safeguarding the development gain made by the continent during the last 4 decades. Join us to this important journey and let your voice be heard. Together, we can build a safer and a more resilient future for our continent.
We thank Ambassador Sako for her remarks. Your Excellencies, it's now my distinct honor to invite Honorable John Mutorwa, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works and Transport of the Republic of Namibia, to deliver the official opening remarks. Honorable.
Thank you. Our director of our program for giving me the floor to make a statement. The Honorable Tulise Dladla, Deputy Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, and members of your delegation, honorable ministers representing various member states of the African Union, and members of your respective delegations, members of parliament from various countries, Mr. Kamal Kishore, the Special Representative of the United Nations Secretary General for Disaster Risk Reduction and Head of the United Nations Office
for Disaster Risk Reduction, all the heads, leaders of the various United Nations agencies that are represented here, the representative of the African Union and members of your delegation, the representative of the Southern African Development Community, SADC, and members of your delegation, Your Excellencies, ambassadors and high commissioners of various countries accredited to Namibia, distinguished delegates, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, let me start by joining our colleague who spoke here on behalf of SADC, again to extend our best wishes to the Republic of Zambia on this day where they are celebrating their 60th anniversary. Zambia has been a home to many Namibians during the time of the struggle. Zambia is a country, together with other countries obviously, that is a home away from home for many Namibians. Equally, today, the 24th of October, in the year 1945, in the city of San Francisco in the United States of America, the United Nations organization was born. So we also, from this platform, the high-level ministerial meeting on disaster risk reduction assembled here in Windhoek, we would like to convey our best wishes through you to the United Nations Secretary General and the United Nations Organization in general on this very special day, 79 years of existence. Equally, we would like to say that the United Nations must continue, despite all the many problems and crises and conflicts in the world, must continue to promote the issue of development, the issue of cooperation among member states, and surely the issue of promoting peace in the world. Coming back to our statement, it is an honor and a pleasant duty for me, on behalf of the Republic of Namibia, to welcome in particular the ministers who arrived yesterday and maybe today to this last segment of our program and to the city of Windhoek and to Namibia in general. We are honored to host this 9th Africa Regional Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction that started on the 21st of October up to today. It is indeed evident that our convergence here in Windhoek enables us to not only reflect to the progress we have made thus far on achieving the 2030 agenda, but also a culmination in the common position of our continent to accelerate the implementation of the Sendai Framework for disaster risk reduction. but it also strengthens our relationship as we endeavor in this noble cause, noting that the future of our people in our respective countries, in our respective organizations, as we encounter the escalating impacts of climate change and unpredictable climate-induced disasters, the need for coordinated and preemptive disaster risk reduction cannot be overemphasized. Over the last 3 days, we have echoed the fact that disasters respect no borders, does not discriminate between rich and poor, and do not differentiate between urban and rural areas, nor do they differentiate between the rich and the developed countries. They strike with cruelty, threatening the lives and livelihoods of people, and in the process impede the crucial development we wish to achieve as we strive to achieve Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. As member states, the onus lies upon us to ensure that we are not caught off guard and unprepared. We need to honor the paradigm shift of being proactive and not reactive in our commitments towards addressing these serious disaster risks. Your Excellencies, the Windhoek Declaration that we are about to discuss today is not an ordinary document. I am informed it is a very comprehensive roadmap that will guide our collective strategic and programmatic approaches towards reducing disaster impacts and building resilience among our countries in order to protect our communities and in order to ensure that our long-term developmental aspirations are not derailed. The adoption of the Windhoek Declaration reaffirms our commitment and multiple goals, including, amongst others, the strengthening of early warning systems for early action, integrating disaster risk reduction into developmental plans, and enhancing continental and regional cooperation in tackling disasters. The issue of cooperation has been stressed, I think, throughout the sessions that we had here and that we are still continuing. I have no doubt, or Namibia does not have any doubt, that the discussions outcomes of this meeting will help chart the path forward. This is the critical moment requiring all of us to apply an eagle eye to ensure all our inputs, our plans, our aspirations are considered, as this will be our road map guiding our path towards accelerating the Sendai Framework and Program of Action for Africa, for 55 member states and billions of people on this continent. In conclusion, Namibia looks forward to our deliberations and the resultant adoption of the Windhoek Declaration to advance the common position of our continent. With all these, ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, honorable ministers, we wish to wish all of us well. They say, beginning good, the end should also be good. We've spent many times here, and I hope the result, which is the declaration, will also be an enriched document. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable John Mutorwa, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works and Transport, for the opening statement and also for officially opening the 8th high-level ministerial meeting on disaster risk reduction, the African platform. Thank you. Your Excellencies, next on our agenda, we move to the item, the election of the Bureau. The outgoing chairperson of the Bureau is the Republic of Kenya. I wish to invite Dr. Duncan Ochieng, the Director of the National Disaster Risk Management Unit of the Republic of Kenya, to please chair the next session on the election of the Bureau. Dr. Ochieng.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm doing it on behalf of Dr. Ochieng. Your Excellency, before I hand over, allow me to make 3 statements. First of all, I want to appreciate the opportunity that we had been given as a country to chair the UNDRR. It has been a big honor for us as a people of the Republic of Kenya. Additionally, I wish to appreciate the recognition given to Kenya by the UN, and especially by UNDRR to chair this platform. The African Union has seen progress. The African region has seen progress in the manner we manage disasters in Africa, and hope the same will continue going forward. The Sendai Framework has provided a roadmap on the realization of a resilient Africa, the Africa we want. As we hand over, Your Excellency, I wish our successor the very best in the years ahead as the continent experiences the threat of extreme weather conditions. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, allow me once again to thank our host, the Republic of Namibia, through Your Excellency, a longtime partner of Kenya. I wish you a prosperous period, and I wish to assure you of our unwavering support in the years to come as we journey together to steer the continent out of disasters. Thank you, Your Excellency. This marks the end of Kenya as the chair of UNDRR, and I wish to hand over to Your Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister, the chairmanship. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Colonel Samuel. Your Excellency, Honorable Mutorwa, once again, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works and Transport, Republic of Namibia, riding on the previously established protocols, distinguished delegates, colleagues and partners, Kenya, as the outgoing chair of the Bureau of the 8th African Regional Platform for DRR and the 7th High-Level Ministerial Meeting on DRR, let me highlight that the two events were held back-to-back from 16th to 18th in November 2021 in Nairobi, Republic of Kenya. That is the regional platform from 16th to 17th and the ministerial segment on 18th November 2021. Ministers and heads of delegations in charge of DRR in Africa adopted the Nairobi Declaration on accelerating the path to achieving the goal and targets of the Program of Action for the implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015-2030 in Africa. Since the adoption, the Nairobi Declaration has played an important role in advancing progress in the implementation of the Program of Action for Implementation of the Sendai Framework 2015-2030 in Africa. The Nairobi Declaration has also enabled Africa to speak with one voice during the global platform for DRR 2022 through the Africa Common Position informed by and aligned with the Nairobi Declaration. The African Common Position, therefore, enabled Africa to integrate its priorities and concerns in the outcome of the Global Platform 2022. The African Common Position also guided Africa's contribution to continental and global platforms or events such as the Africa Regional Forum on Sustainable Development, Climate Change, and Development in Africa, Africa Climate Summit, and the COP. We commend Africa Working Group on DRR, which brings together all stakeholders involved in DRR, climate change and sustainable development, for supporting the implementation and review of the implementation of the Nairobi Declaration under the leadership of the AUC and with the support of all partners. We sincerely thank the outgoing Bureau, as I indicated earlier, the Republic of Kenya, the Republic of Gabon, the Republic of Gambia, Republic of South Africa, the Republic of Tunisia, for the support that they have given in translating the Nairobi Declaration into action across the continent. Going forward, it is important to build the Windhoek Declaration on the Nairobi Declaration. It is now my humble pleasure to introduce the Bureau and ask for motion to adoption. Republic of Namibia, Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Central African Republic, Republic of Tunisia, and the Republic of Kenya. I now hand over to the chair of the Bureau to preside over the meeting as per the agenda. The Republic of Namibia, please.
the Republic of Kenya for the outstanding work that they have done in guiding the activities up to today. And Namibia would like to accept the responsibility of the chair of the Bureau. I would like to draw the attention of the Honorable House on page 9 and 10 of the program that is in front of us, because it is on those pages that we have what we must do. There's only one item, and that is the consideration by the honorable ministers of the draft Windhoek Declaration. Now, with your permission, I would like to request the Executive Director in the Office of the Prime Minister in Namibia to read the declaration, and thereafter I will request Mr. Kasho just to take us through, and maybe through him, those who were on the drafting committee of the declaration, just to explain, because I'm informed the committee has done a thorough job, but it is up to us as ministers to listen to them. Before then, we'll go through the declaration and hopefully finish as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairperson, you have a new title now. And congratulations. I will request that the document be Is it on? Okay, thank you. And I also trust that all the delegates have the version. We will do it in two folds. We will first present the first item, which is really the preamble, submit it, and then thereafter the commitments. I wish to invite the team, this is a teamwork, Mr. Paulus Ashili, to please present the declaration to the audience, or to the August House. Thank you.
Thank you very much, moderator. Excellencies, allow me to stand by the protocol already observed. I will be taking you through the Windhoek Declaration. It's a declaration of the 8th higher level meeting on disaster risk reduction held in Windhoek, Namibia, 24th October. Windhoek Declaration on advancing the program of action for the implementation of Sendai Framework for disaster risk reduction 2015-2030 in Africa. It goes as follows. We, the ministers and head of delegations responsible for disaster risk reduction in Africa, having met in Windhoek, Republic of Namibia, on the 24th October 2024, on the occasion of the 8th higher-level meeting on disaster risk reduction, which was presided by the 9th Africa Regional Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction on the 22nd to 23rd October 2024, under the theme, Act Now for the Resilient Africa We Want. Express our appreciation to the government and the people of Namibia for hosting these events and for the hospitality and warm welcome accorded to the delegates. Further appreciate the African Union Commission, United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction, for organizing these events with the support of the Southern African Development Community. Recall the decision of the African Union Executive Council at its 30th ordinary session that was held in January 2017, endorsing the program of action for implementation of Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015-2030 in Africa, program of action. Further recall the adoption of the Nairobi Declaration and accelerating the path to achieving the goal and targets of the program of action for the implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015-2030 in Africa by African ministers and heads of delegation responsible for disaster risk reduction in Africa at the 7th higher level meeting on disaster risk reduction that was held on 19 November 2021 in Nairobi, Kenya. Appreciate the efforts of member states, regional economic communities, and non-governmental stakeholders, and the support of the African Working Group on Disaster Risk Reduction to implement priorities and decision of the Nairobi Declaration, as well as the African Common Position to the 2022 Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction. Commend the African Union Commission for its leadership in translating priorities and decisions in the Nairobi Declaration and in the African position to the 2022 Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction. Recall the decision of African Union Executive Council at its 40th ordinary session that was held in February 2022, endorsing the African Framework for Multi-Hazard Early Warning and Early Action System, abbreviated as AMHEWAS, and its delivery program 2022 up to 2030. And also welcome the launch of Early Warning for All initiative by the United Nations Secretary General at COP27 that was held in Egypt. And Multi-Hazard Early Warnings for All in Africa Action Plan 2023 to 2027, which support the implementation of AMHEWAS. Welcome the adoption of the political declaration of the higher level meeting on the midterm review of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015 up to 2030 by the United Nations General Assembly in May 2023. Also, welcome the outcomes of the African leaders' Nairobi Declaration on Climate Change and to the action of the first African Climate Summit that was held from the 4th to the 6th of September 2023 in Nairobi, Kenya. Further welcome the outcomes of the 27th and 28th session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, COP27 and COP28, and take note of the agreement of COP28 to operationalize the Fund for Responding to Loss and Damage launched at COP27, and welcome the selection of the United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction to host the Santiago Network Secretariat with the United Nations Office for Project Service. Acknowledge the outcome of the 10th session of the African Regional Forum on Sustainable Development that was held on the 23rd up to 25th of April 2024 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. 6th African Ministerial Conference on Meteorology that was held from the 16th to the 17th of May 2024 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The SADC Extraordinary Heads of State and Government Summit on El Nino-induced drought and floods that was held on the 20th of May 2024. 4th International Conference on Small Island Developing State held on the 27th up to the 30th of May 2024 in Antigua, Barbuda. First African Urban Forum that was held on the 4th up to the 6th of September 2024 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. 12th Conference on Climate Change and Development in Africa, held on the 30th August 2024, 30th August up to the 2nd of September 2024, and the 10th special session of the African Ministerial Conference on Environment, AMSEN, that was held on the 3rd to the 6th of September 2024 in Abidjan, Ivory Coast. And first African Multi-Holder Forum for Early Warning for All, that was held on the 21st October 2024 here in Windhoek, Namibia. Further acknowledge the adoption of the PEC for Future, along with the annexures, including Declaration for Future Generation and the Global Digital Compact for the United Nations General Assembly in September 2024, and note that the implementation of the program of the PEC is critical to realize the PEC for the future's implementation in Africa. Express deep concern on the growing severity and frequency of weather and climate extreme-related disasters, particularly those triggered by El Nino Southern Oscillation events, especially in small island developing states, landlocked developing countries, and least developing countries. Mindful of the recent State of Climate in Africa 2023 report, which shows that on average, African countries are losing from 2 to 5% of their GDP, and many are diverting up to 9% of their budget responding to climate extremes. Recognize the significant impact that weather and climate extreme events triggered by El Nino Southern Oscillation have on the African continent, especially on agriculture, food security, on the most at-risk communities, and the urgent need to invest more in observational networks and prediction tools, disaster risk reduction, preparedness, early warning, and early action, resilient recovery, building back better, and anticipatory action through pre-arranged and scale-up climate adaptation finance, in particular in the most affected countries. Recognize the systematic nature of risk illustrated by climate and human-induced, interconnected, and simultaneously disaster and their cascading and devastating impacts undermining the efforts to achieve 2020-30 Agenda for Sustainable Development and Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. Further recognize the declaration of Mpox outbreak as a pandemic health emergency of continental security by African Center of Disease Control and Prevention and public health emergency of international concern by World Health Organization in August 2024, and appreciated the effort by the African CDC and the support from WHO to strengthen the acceleration and response to the ongoing Mpox outbreak cases and the Marburg virus outbreak in Africa. Acknowledge the significant financing gap for implementing disaster risk reduction and management, including response and recovery priorities and AMHEWA program. Also aware of the needs of African member states to establish multi-hazard early warning and early action situation rooms for coordinating, monitoring, and informing on the potential occurrence of disaster events and their associated impacts in order to facilitate disaster preparedness, response, and recovery activities and anticipatory action. Appreciate the role of stakeholders, including parliamentarians, civil society organization, Red Cross Crescent societies, scientific community, media, academia, youth, women, people with disabilities, private sector, local authorities, and communities in supporting the implementation of the program of action at all levels, and the efforts of the African risk capacity in supporting member states to strengthen risk financing mechanism. stress the importance of ensuring synergies and coherence between the implementation of disaster risk reduction, anticipatory action, humanitarian development, and climate change action at all levels, including the context of humanitarian peace development nexus, and mindful of the outcome of the first global stocktake under the Paris Agreement and the need for urgent climate action ambition to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement, and concerned about the inadequate provision of means of implementation from developed countries for climate change adaptation and resilient building. Welcome the launch of African Urban Resilient Program, which together with Making City Resilient 2030, also known as MCL 2030, can significantly contribute to the implementation of the program of action in urban areas. Take note of the comprehensive school safety framework 2022-2030, developed by Global Alliance for Disaster Risk Reduction and Resilience in Education Sector. Further welcome the launch of UNDRL Private Sector Alliance for Disaster Resilient Societies, also abbreviated as ARISE, and the Sendai Gender Action Plan to support implementation of the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction 2015-2030. Appreciate the support provided by African governments, development partners, United Nations system, and international and regional financial institutions to implement the program of action. Declare our determination to deliver on our commitments to the implementation of the program of action, the Africa Regional Strategy for Disaster Risk Reduction, as well as sub-regional and national strategy and plans of action for disaster risk reduction as a key instrument for the realization of Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development and Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. Excellencies, those were the preamble. We now move to the call for action. Okay. We hereby call upon member states with support from regional economic communities, the African Union Commission, the United Nations system, and the development partners to mobilize resources to advance the implementation of AMHEWA's program, including the establishment of situation rooms. Also call upon member states with support from regional economic communities of African Union and the United Nations system and the development partners to build on existing initiatives and ensure country-driven implementation of early warning for all in Africa Action Plan 2023-2027 in support of the AMHEWAs, including in fragile and conflict-affected situations. Reiterate the call to member states, regional economic communities, the African Union Commission, regional climate centers, and regional specialized meteorological centers to develop capacity and scale up investment in national hydrological and meteorological systems for improved weather and climate information generation and service delivery for effective early warning, anticipatory action, and transboundary risk management at all levels. Encourage member states, regional economic communities, United Nations, and other international and regional organizations and financial institutions to mainstream disaster risk reduction in development program in all sectors. Request member states, regional economic communities, local authorities, private sector, academia, civil society organization, development partners, and other stakeholders to support the development and implementation of coherent, risk-informed, people-centered, inclusive, holistic, and gender-responsive, and disability-inclusive disaster risk reduction laws, indigenous and local knowledge system, and practices, policies, strategies, and programs. Reiterate the call to member states to increase annual budget, public budgetary allocation and expenditure, and establish innovative financing solutions, including at local levels, and galvanizing private sector investment to accelerate the implementation of the program of action. Call upon member state, local authorities, partners to implement the African Urban Resilient, leveraging the Making City Resilient 2030 initiative, and implement the outcomes of the first African Urban Forum and call for alignment of the 12th session of the World Urban Forum with the outcome of the first African Urban Forum. Encourage member states to conduct disaster risk assessment and the stress testing of critical infrastructure system to ensure that infrastructure plans and risk-proof and alignment to national and local disaster risk reduction strategies and risk assessment. Further encourage member states to ensure stronger partnership between institutions responsible for disaster risk reduction and management, displacement, environmental management, and climate change action, planning and finance to promote comprehensive risk management approach at all levels. Reiterate the call to member states and the regional economic communities to actively participate in and follow up to the outcome of the African Regional Forum on Sustainable Development and the Climate Change and Development in Africa Conference, the African Climate Summit, and make disaster risk reduction an integral part of voluntary national review and subnational voluntary reviews of ARFSD. The African Union urge the African Union Commission and the regional economic communities, the private sector, academia, civil society organization, development partners, and other stakeholders to support the capacity development for member states to better anticipate, prepare for, act early, respond to, and recovery from the Mpox and Marburg outbreak. And consider disaster risk reduction in overall Mpox and Marburg recovery plans, in policies, plans, strategies for epidemic and commission African Union Commission, regional economic communities, United Nations system, and development partners to strengthen the capacity of member states to leverage the monitoring and reporting framework for the program of action and Sendai Framework monitor system in monitoring and reporting of progress towards achieving all targets of the Sendai Framework and program of action. Further request member states and regional economic communities to support the development of African biannual report on the implementation of the program of action. Urge member states to enhance national system for collection, analysis, and reporting of disaster loss and damage data disaggregated by economic and non-economic losses, and where relevant by income, age, gender, disability, and also geographical location. Encourage regional economic communities, the African Union Commission, the United Nations system, and the development partners to support member states in their efforts to benefit from technical assistance provided through the Santiago Network for initiative to avert, minimize, address losses and damage at all levels, and to assess the fund for responding to loss and damage. Call upon member states, regional economic communities, and the African Union Commission to proactively address disaster-induced displacement at all levels by integrating disaster risk reduction, climate change, environmental management into developmental strategies and plans. Call upon member states, regional economic communities, and African Union Commission to enhance policy coherence, public-private partnership, and commission to enhance policy to leverage on innovative and cost-effective nature-based solution and ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction approaches to bridge the gaps in climate resilience, preparedness, response, and build back better for sustainability. Also call upon member state, regional economic communities, the African Union Commission, and the other stakeholders to promote the implementation of the recommendation of the midterm review of the implementation of the Sendai Framework for disaster risk reduction 2015 to 2030 in Africa, and Africa Biannual Report on disaster risk reduction. Further call upon member state, regional economic communities, the African Union Commission, and the other stakeholders to translate the Sendai Gender Action Plan at all levels towards achieving Sendai Framework and Program of Action across the continent. Urge member state, regional economic communities, the African Union Commission, and the development partners to bolster and prioritize science-based approaches to disaster risk reduction through increased investment in research and innovation and promotion of science, policy and practice dialogue, and integrated disaster risk reduction in early child, primary and secondary and tertiary education systems. Mandate the African Union Commission to coordinate the development of African Common Position to the 2025 Global Platform for Disaster Risk Reduction. And further request the Government of the Republic of Namibia, as the chair of the 9th Regional Platform and the 8th High-Level Meeting on Disaster Risk Reduction, to submit the declaration to the African Union policy organs for consideration and adoption. Excellencies, that's the content for the Windhoek Declaration. I thank you.
We thank Mr. Shili for reading the declaration. Now, as we all know, the platform consists of 3 legs: the United Nations, the African Union, and SADC. I have been informed that the committee that was responsible for drafting this declaration also has the same kind of composition. So, honorable ministers, colleagues, let me therefore, with your concurrence briefly, just request the UN representative to make not a speech, but and then the AU, and then SADC, and then we as ministers will have the chance to go through and then adopt. If you have done a thorough job, then our job will be very small and easy. But if you fail the test, I don't know what will happen. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. I have just very few words to say. First of all, it's your declaration. It's as UNDRR, we just facilitate the process. It's to be adopted by the ministers. And I know that over the last 4 days, so many sessions happened, so many different dimensions of disaster risk reduction were discussed. And the draft that you have before you takes into account the key aspects that emerged in the meeting yesterday. There has been a lot of discussion in the run-up to the drafting of this, this declaration that you will discuss. As you discuss it further from a United Nations perspective, there are just 3 ideas I want to put before you very briefly. One is that it is important that we proactively aim to achieve convergence of several initiatives. I am quite impressed by a whole range of things that are happening in Africa, and how much energy is there in the continent to tackle issues related to disaster risk reduction. However, in order to achieve maximum impact, it's really important that we achieve consciously convergence between these several initiatives. The second is the spirit of Sendai Framework is a multi-stakeholder approach. So while the declaration is adopted by ministers, it's really important that we recognize the role of other parts of the society and reflect an all-of-society approach. And my third and final point is that it's again in the spirit of Sendai Framework. The purpose of a regional declaration is to supplement, not supplant, the national efforts. The primacy of nationally mandated institutions is very clear. So it's really them that we are trying to empower and support, and I think that is the spirit. I think it must permeate whatever you finally agree upon. I think with that, I will be a careful listener on what's going to happen in terms of your comments and how you move towards agreeing on a declaration and adopting it. Thank you very much, Excellency.
Thank you very much, sir. AU? Where's AU? The AU?
Secretariat.
Do you have anything to say before we...
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister. I think we are satisfied with the draft, unless if there are going to be comments, then we can be able to provide responses. Thank you very much.
Sadek?
Thank you, Prime Minister. Our position is the same as that of the African Union, only to say that we believe that this declaration is actually a continuity from other declarations going forward. And our ministers gathered here from the member states are actually the owners of this declaration. And the regional bodies, the continental bodies, the UN, were facilitators for this process. I submit, Chairperson.
Thank you, Sadek. May I make a proposal that we, as ministers now and Deputy Prime Minister of Eswatini Kingdom, we go page by page. I hope all of us have got the text of the document. Do we? Yes. I put, because page 1 is really just the, I will not be here. I have to receive let's see if the discussions are so wide, then we can break. I put page number 1 for discussions, for comments, for enrichment, for subtraction. None. Page 1 is adopted. Oh, I'm wrong.
You're right.
Oh. On page number 2 is a continuation of the preamble, which I also put in front of the honorable ministers for consideration, advice, comments, enrichment, whatever it is. No, we are satisfied with page 2? I don't want to rush things. It's a very important document. It's an African document at the end of the day. But I don't see any hand. But I see people still reading. Maybe we should be patient. No comment? Happy? Where? With the red tie. Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, the new chair, and I use this opportunity to also congratulate you and to also thank the outgoing chair. We look forward to a continuous progress and achievements as we wish Africa to be. I know in the second paragraph, as we are all looking, that's the acknowledgement of the outcomes of the 10 sessions. That paragraph, I also wish to suggest to include the declaration made by the least developed country ministerial meeting held on the 28th of August in Malawi.
Thank you, Madam. Inclusion of a meeting that was held in Malawi. Do we have a date?
28th of August.
Last year?
This year,
This year.
2024, yeah.
There is a suggestion that in paragraph 2, a meeting that was held in Malawi relevant to the subject matter need to be included. Is there any objection or any clarification? It's okay? It's okay, Madam. Thank you. Now let us move to page number 4. Still a continuation of the preamble. And preambles are very important. I would like to put page number 4 to you, Honorable Ministers, Deputy Prime Minister, for our consideration. Even at the back, I mean, people who are helping the ministers, if there's anything that need to be added. But I don't see any hand. So I take it that we are happy with page number 4. Agreed to? Yes, there's a hand there on page 4. Just introduce yourself, Madam, so that those who are taking the minutes can. Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair. Let me also congratulate you for attaining this position. And I would also like to thank the government of Namibia for the hospitality that we are enjoying in this beautiful city. I would like to get your clarification, Chair. By page 4, are we also including the action part, or it's only the first part of page 4?
Maybe, yeah, let me ask him to.
It's, we are still on the page before, which is written page 4 of 9 in the draft.
Yes, the page 4 of 9.
Yes.
Yeah.
So are we also including the action part on that page 4 of 9? So that I bring my intervention.
The action points are at page 5 of 9.
Oh. Yeah, I think maybe we have that challenge. I think maybe some of us, we are looking at a different version,
document.
maybe.
We haven't yet reached the actions.
Okay.
No, but she say, are we having the same document, all of us?
That's the question I'm asking, Chair.
Page numbering is different.
Can somebody just, maybe from the Secretariat, check the document so that we have a proper explanation? Check the document that, where is he going? Yeah, but she's the one who's raising. Check her document and so that we can make sure, 100% sure.
Yes. He was mentioning about page 4.
No, he's still here. Page 4 of 9.
Okay, so my page 4 of 9 is different. Maybe that's why I was confused.
Where you got this from?
The version that I got online.
From where?
The emails.
Email, no, email is not. Okay, it's correct.
Madam, are you satisfied? Do you have anything to?
Yes, Chair.
You're okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay, thank you. Then we adopt page number 4. Can we look at page number 5? Now, from page number 5 is the end of the preamble and the beginning of the actions. We are calling upon these, do this. Your Excellency, Ambassador of Egypt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations on the chairperson, and congratulations for Namibia for hosting such event. Your Excellency, Egypt has presented yesterday a set of amendments like many countries did. The problem is that time was a constraint. The draft committee did a great job, but I don't think time was enough to reflect all of our amendments on a deeper level. And that's why now when we look at the new draft version, it's hard to see where we asked for the amendments. However, if we take, for example, page 5, I would ask kindly to add to paragraph 9, yes please, that the 12th session of the World Urban Forum will be held in Egypt during the time between 4th of November and up to 8th of November. And it is a very important forum for Africa, as it will align the position with the Africa urban resilience priorities, particularly in the context of disaster risk reduction and the climate change adoption.
May I ask somebody from the Secretariat? I see on my left, maybe. Yeah, I see there. Take a note or accept? Accept. Ambassador is saying accept.
Thank you, Your Excellency, and with your indulgence, there are many points that need for deeper language, and that's why, of course, I propose that this draft will still go up. It is not working. I'm sorry. So my suggestion, as this draft goes up before it reaches the EU, that our amendments be revised again, because it will further enrich the goal of this important declaration. It's very hard now to go through everything because the paragraphs have been changed. It has been changed in a good way, but it's impossible to reflect on it now and see if the changes are deep enough. But it's a good start, Your Excellency. Thank you so much.
May I request maybe Your Excellency to submit the text of your...
We have, Your Excellency, submitted all of this yesterday morning.
Okay.
But again, it was very difficult for the draft committee to integrate all of the amendments by the delegations. They have done a great job, and I believe they were working here till 1 a.m. But it's very difficult to see if everything is included, but by the first check, not everything is at the deeper level we wish it would have been. Thank you.
The chairperson of the drafting committee, what do you say on that? Saying the amendments were submitted, is there any problem to incorporate them?
Thank you. I was told that the ED will respond. But what I wanted to assure the delegates is that everything was captured as much as possible. And this is a declaration, so the report, will have a report which will include everything, but the declaration is a summary. So we are trying as much as possible to keep it short. But otherwise, all the aspects, should I say, the critical issues have all been captured.
Where were we? 5 or 6? We were in 5, ne? With the amendments, the additions, we agreed to page 5. Okay? Madam, a little bit of speed now. Madam, you want the floor?
Thank you, Chair. On page 5, I would like to draw your attention to action 3. Basically considering that we have national meteorological and hydrological services, and these are not only critical roles, but they are authoritative voice when it comes to early warning. So I would like to request if we can replace the critical with authoritative. Thank you, Chair.
This one, I see a critical, yeah? Critical role with authoritative. Why don't you keep all of them? Critical, authoritative.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's even much better. Yes. Thank you. So that page is agreed to. Page number 6 of the actions. Actions are very important. Sometimes we agree on actions, then the implementation does not follow. Page number 6, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, heads of delegation. Anything on page number 6 that we need to look at? Add, comment, delete, enrich. I don't see a hand. I don't see a hand. 1, 2, 3. Are we happy with that? Agreed to. Last one. The last one, 7 of 9. Mine start with paragraph 15 and it ends with paragraph 23. Can we have a look at that and see what we can add, strengthen? I think we are happy. I don't see a hand. 1, 2, 3, go to 5, 4, 5. Agreed to. Now I see the document is mentioning page 7 of 9, but mine ends with 7.
8 and 9 are covered.
Oh, my esteemed colleague on my left is saying 8 and 9 is what?
Cover pages.
Can you just explain it yourself? Because I don't see the cover pages.
No, these are just the cover pages. There is no text in 8 and 9.
Oh, okay. Now, I need to be advised now. We have gone through the declaration. We have enriched it where possible. We have added something. What do we do now? What is next? Oh, I am advised, ministers, Deputy Prime Minister, heads of delegations, that the chair will have to call for the adoption. Can I have an indication of somebody proposing that we adopt, and then a secondant? Oh, we have not adopted. Call for adoption of the declaration. Yes, Madam.
Uganda, I take this opportunity to call upon the delegates to adopt.
Thank you very much. Uganda has proposed that we adopt the declaration. Any secondant?
Chair.
Swatini and other people there.
Chair.
Chair. Zambia.
Yes, Chair. So Uganda is calling for the proposal to adopt, taking into consideration the amendments, the proposed amendments.
Exactly,
I submit, Chair.
Exactly, yeah. No, exactly. I mean, there were amendments that will be added. We are adopting this declaration, taking into account, as you have said, the amendments that were proposed. Are you seconding Uganda now? You are seconding?
Yes, Chair. Zambia is seconding.
Any objection? The Windhoek Declaration, which is a document of the African continent that will, closing statement. Yeah, but let's adopt first. Is now formally adopted. Thank you. These people are overworking me. They say that I must make a closing statement. Why can't I delegate it to the Deputy Prime Minister of Eswatini? Madam, just come and just a short closing statement. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
Thank you, Excellency. Your Excellency, the Deputy Prime Minister of this land of the brave, the top table, honorable ministers present here, and of course, our ambassadors. I would like to take this opportunity, although taken by surprise, to first thank our host for giving us the best treatment ever. You'll all agree with me that we've been accorded the best hospitality by one of our SADC countries, being Namibia, and of course, a member of the AU, a member of the UN, our own multilateral organizations. It would be remiss of me not to appreciate the role played by the AU in ensuring that this meeting is a success that we're experiencing right now. And of course, the AU that has taken its time to be with us and share with us its own experiences, hence the draft which has now been adopted of the declaration. I would also like Your Excellency to thank Kenya, the outgoing chair, that did a commendable job in ensuring that our Bureau is carrying out the mandate that was given to it by this August gathering in Nairobi, I understand in 2021. This is the first time for me to attend this meeting of note, and it is a learning curve. For me, I was telling my counterpart here that it is a learning curve for us, but because we have to speak in one voice, one African voice, it is important for all of us to embrace this declaration and run with it and make sure that our people benefit from such meetings that we hold now and again. Your Excellency, once again, thank you. I'm doing this vote of thanks on behalf of the delegates here, on behalf of the ministers, and of course, on behalf of AU and UN. Let me take that advantage as well. Thank you very much.
The Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini for the wonderful summary of a closing and vote of thanks at the same time. I would like now to request the Director of the program, the Executive Director in the Office of the Prime Minister here in Namibia, to make some announcements as to what is next in terms of the program.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Prime Minister. Your Excellencies, distinguished heads of delegations, this has brought us to the end of the 8th high-level ministerial meeting on disaster risk reduction. And before we come to the complete close, just an announcement that there will be a group photo for all heads of delegations that will happen at the entrance of Movenpick. So please, liaison officers, please let's make sure that we usher their excellencies to Movenpick for the historic group picture, which will also be an annexure to the Windhoek Declaration. With that, I now invite Your Excellencies to please rise for the AU and National Anthem of Namibia. Thank you.
Let us all unite and celebrate together the victories won for our liberation. Let us dedicate ourselves to rise together.
As is customary, the high table please move forward for the group picture, joined by the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister of Eswatini. And then the rest of the delegation, let's move to Movenpick for the group picture. So, high table, please. High table. Where are the cameras? Where are the cameras? Cameras, please.